Now, if your X is between 15 to 20, that's probably in the average stack size at this point. You're in reasonably okay shape at the current blind and ante level, but when those blinds and antes go up in a round or two, you may end up in a problem. Okay, so you need to hold out for some better hands here. Run some traps and bluffs where appropriate, but don't risk more than about 5x at this point. And you'll see why in a moment. When you get into the borderline stage of between 8 and 14 on your X, it's time to tighten up, take fewer risks, and protect your stack. You need to wait for better hands to engage. Don't get in a hurry. And make sure you've got the right kind of position against tight players, against the best kind of players when you're going to bluff and steal in this situation. Then finally, the most interesting area, and the toughest one actually to play, is when your X is at 7 or less. So when you're in that 5 to 7X range, you need to enter what we call push-fold mode. When you go into push-fold mode, what we're basically saying at this point is, if I play a hand, and I've got like a king in the hand, or an ace, and any ace or king in the hand, like a heads-up type hand, or a pair, any pair, I'm all in. I am not going to play around and limp in or raise you. It's like I'm all in because I want to take every possible opportunity to double up, and I want to drive as many people out of the pot. If you don't go all in, you don't have enough chips in the stack, you know, as you try to go incrementally to push anybody out. So this is where, you know, the power in Texas Hold'em is the ability to go all in and to damage some players. Okay, so if your X drops below about 5, if it's down to 4 or 5, gosh, that's like just a regular bet of 4 to 5 times a big bet of 4 to 5 times the pot. You know, at that point, you're going to have a much harder time pushing people around, and it's not a place you want to be. So when your X gets in that 5 to 7 range, go into push fold. You're probably going to end up heads up against the person anyway if somebody calls you. So you want to have a good, strong heads up hand, and just think like you're in heads up mode at this point. You're not playing against the whole table. You're playing heads up, and if you get against 3 players, so much the better. You have the chance of tripling your stack. But we're not going to play many hands, and when we do get something, we're going all in, or we're not going to play at all at this stage. Now it's time to go back for some tournament action. We'll start talking more about this X factor from here on out at the tables, and so it's time for us to go see how we survive the shakeout in the middle game. Hello and welcome back. We're now in the middle game. As we'll see, the middle game lasts quite a bit longer than the other segments of the game. In fact, it'll go for about 30 minutes. And it actually went about 40 minutes. I've trimmed it back to only 30 minutes so that just to save us some time. But this middle game is really the most critical part of any sit-and-go game, and it's kind of the one where if you get it right, then you'll make it into the end game and into the money and have a shot at actually going heads up. On the other hand, there's a lot that can go wrong during this middle game, so it's an area that can be quite dangerous. And like I said, it's survivist of the fittest at this point, and as we'll see. So at this stage, I'm was fortunate in the last go round to pull at flush, and as you can see right now, I'm not getting any decent starting hands. 3-7, is really not worth much. So we're just going to kind of hang out and wait for a little better hand here. As we talked about in the last little segment, this X factor is something that I use very much in the all aspects of the game, but especially in the middle game. The X factor will be your friend in the middle game and in the end game, as we'll soon see. And so again, calculating X is not that hard, but what we need to be doing right now, since we're not in the hand, we need to be watching the other players, and we need to watch what style play do they have, how aggressive are they. See, this guy on our right here, Mr. Black AA, he just folded to a raise, and that's a good indication he's a solid, maybe tight player. So we just kind of tuck that away and keep that in mind. You got a King 9 starting hand, so that's decent. I'm just going to call it and see what the flop looks like unless somebody raises me. So let's see what we got here. Ah, we did get a raise. You know, I'm in the chip lead position. I could do just about anything. At this point, I decided to go ahead and fold it. No reason to engage needlessly. I mean, if he's got pocket aces or pocket kings, there's just no reason with me being in the chip lead position to take that kind of risk right now. King nine's not that strong of a starting hand. It was on the cuff there. I could have called it, could have potentially called it, but could have easily lost many hundreds of chips or even gotten sucked in deeper with that poor starting hand with a bad kicker. So it's best not to call that stuff. The X factor. Just looking around the table right now, we've got blinds of 1530, so that's 45 in the pot. So 10 times that is 450. 20 times that would be 900. So at this stage of the middle game, everybody is above an X factor of 20. So people can pretty much play fairly freely. Here we've got a very significant raise, which to me is communicating maybe trip threes, possibly a really big. Oh, he's got double sevens against kings. Well, I think he kind of overplayed the sevens, don't you? You know, I could understand it if he had, you know, a set of threes, but you know, those sevens, I wouldn't have played that strongly, and obviously it's put him in a difficult position now. Ace-6, it's worth a see. It's worth a look-see. Got to be really careful with that ace low kicker, though. Let's see what we're going to get. Let's see what Mr. Stealth is going to do for us. Everybody folds. Not much help. You know, what the heck? At this point, you know, I don't have much to lose. He's got a pair of fives. You know, I might pull an ace or something. We'll see. No. So, you know, not much to lose. Chip leader position. The guy goes all in with 90 chips. Pair of twos. Well, gosh, some people really like playing these twos strong. I'm not one of them. I've been burned too many times. If I flop a set of twos, it's great, and I'd love to see that. But if I don't flop a set, I'm pretty much going to usually be out of there with those twos. Yeah, and somebody's sitting there with an ace in their hand, most likely. So, you know, any kind of a significant bet, and I'm out of there with the twos. It's just not worth the risk. You got a 1 in 8 chance, possibly, of pulling that set, and if you don't get it on the flop, it's generally best to just fold it and get away from it. Okay, here we go with a pair of fives, like that. A little better than the twos. I probably would normally try to raise this, not too heavily, but, you know, just enough that, you know, these guys will either fold, or in this case they fold, so great. We'll take the pot, and don't have to risk too much with those fives. So we've got a Jack King. Again, looking around, we've got an injured player here who has got 225. He's likely to pop in with all in like he's doing just now at any point in time. Jack King, you know, it's probably worth a call once again. This guy's been playing some fairly weak hands because he's in a difficult position there with his X factor being way below 10. In this case, he's got a pretty decent ace-queen, but he didn't flop the jack like I did. In fact, I've got him covered. He's drawing dead at this point. With he did get his queen, but it wasn't enough. So took out another player and bought myself a few more rounds of blinds, which is good. Being in the chip monster position at this point, have very little to worry about, of course. And I'm not going to play that 3-4. Well, actually, I did call it. Let's see what happens here.